Hello and welcome to my vlog Crafting with Shuttermonkey. I'm Amanda, also known as Shuttermonkey, and I live in Ayrshire in the west coast of Scotland. Other places that you can find me online are Ravelry. I'm Shuttermonkey Designs over there. That's where I upload all my knitting and my crochet patterns. You can also find those on Lovecrafts too, again Shuttermonkey Designs. I have an Etsy shop, Shuttermonkey Designs, where I sell some handmade items, usually sewn related items that I've made myself. I also have a PayHip store, Shuttermonkey Designs. That's where you'll find any quilting requirements that you need, fabric requirements or sewing instructions. Sometimes I run some quilt alongs. I'm also planning on doing some more sewing tutorials that I'm going to upload onto YouTube too. You can find me on Instagram. I'm a wee Shuttermonkey over there. That's just my personal page. That's the best place to find me if you're on Instagram. And I also have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. Both are Shuttermonkey Designs. I really should probably go onto Facebook a wee bit more. I don't spend a lot of time on there actually. And I also have an eBay shop. I'm Ugly Duckling over there. I'm having a bit of a clear out of all my craft stuff. So anything that I've got that I want rid of, I'm going to pop it into my eBay shop. Just you can't take things to the charity shops or anything just now. And I'm fed up with it all lying about cluttering up my room. So I hope you've all been keeping well since we last chatted. I've actually painted a bathroom since I was last vlogging, and I've started clearing out cupboards, and I also cleaned out a wardrobe in my spare room. They look great now, but unfortunately all the stuff's lying in the spare room waiting to go somewhere, because I don't like just dumping stuff, taking it all to the recycling centre and putting it in a landfill. I would rather find new homes for some stuff, especially stuff that's in good condition and can be used again. And with the charity shops being closed just now, you can't take it there. So I'm going to have to be a wee bit more creative, I think, in how I pass on, get rid of some of the stuff that I no longer need. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Let's just move on to the knitting section, okay? The last time I vlogged, I forgot to show you my Advent socks. So I got these finished during Advent. It was actually, I think Hogmanay finished them. But there's one of them there. And there's the second one. I really enjoyed knitting these. And I can't believe I forgot to show you them last time. So I've not been able to wear them yet because I had to show them on here first. I've actually got, you're supposed to knit one stripe a day. The yarn is from the Cozy Knitter. She's a Canadian yarn dyer. And you're supposed to knit one stripe a day. And I use my chevron sock pattern for these. I've actually got 30 stripes in my sock. It's a 24 stripe skein. And she splits it into 2 skeins for you, but there's 2 repeats of the 24 on each skein. So I think they are just before the red. That's the start of the second repeat. And I use 6 stripes for that, so I've still got 18 stripes left. So I'll be able to make some mittens probably. And I've still got a wee bit of this contrasting heel tone cuff yarn left over too. That's a gold stellina, this one. And these were knitted on the Knit Pro Carbons 2.25mm. 2.25 is the size I always use for 4-ply socks. It just gives me the right tension to fit my foot. But I'm really pleased with how they turned out. And it was fun knitting them. Because you only do 1 stripe a day, it's only 4 rows. So you do 4 rows in one sock, 4 rows in the other each day. I kind of found it difficult to put it down actually, because you just want to get on to the next stripe. But then there were some days that I left it. I hadn't knitted for a couple of days, so I did get to do a chunk at a time. But I did enjoy those. I think I'll try and get our yarn again for this Christmas. It was fun. So that's those, my 24 stripe Advent socks. The next socks I've got to show you are these ones. I finally got a pair. This is my String of Heart socks. They're still a wee bit damp. I forgot to block them, so I just wet them this morning. They've actually been sitting on a radiator drying off a wee bit. Because I've also got to get a picture onto Instagram so I can enter the Rainbow Sock Chronicles. This is my January socks for there. The last time I showed you them, I think I only had 1 sock knitted, and I was on the I'd started the second sock. But there was a couple of wee holes here at the back, just above the heel. It was the start of the next heart. And I didn't like that, so I've taken that out. So I've got 2 new socks now that don't have that. Those wee holes above the heel that I didn't like. So I've got one sock to frog, and I can reuse the yarn. But there we go, 2 socks. These ones have got little beads in them. This pattern is actually with test knitters just now and it's due to be released soon. I'm hoping to release it this week. I just need to hear back from a couple of my test knitters. So far no problems, but I don't want to publish it just in case anybody else has got a suggestion or a criticism or something they want to suggest to add to the pattern. So I'm going to wait till I've heard back from everybody and then I will get that published as soon as I can. When I publish this pattern, it's going to be a medium size sock only, but I'm planning and sizing it up for a large. So that would be the 72 stitches and also sizing it down to the 56 stitch size. But I'm going to talk to you a wee bit more about that later. But it will be on Ravelry sometime this week, hopefully Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest. So you can maybe knit yourself some Valentine's socks. And as I say, I would like to size it up and size it down as well. But I'm going to be I really should get more test knitters to test that for me before I publish that. Okay. So that's the String of Hearts one. Now remember when I did these, they started off, I tried to make the hearts smaller and I had this one and you couldn't really see the hearts, so it ended up turning into this. Well, I came up with another pattern for hearts. I'm just going to show you this. You can tell me what you think of this one. So that was the first go at trying to do small hearts. This is a Mr. B's yarn. Oh, I never told you that, did I? This yarn's actually in the crochet corner. I bought this from an Etsy seller in the crochet corner, and that was a lovely yarn. This is the marshmallow colourway, and it was a lovely yarn to use, really nice. Again, knitted in 2.25mm needles. This one is a Mr. B's yarn, and it's Visions of Sugar Plums. This wasn't, not Christmas there, but Christmas before, so at the end of 2019 this was released as a colourway, and I love the colourway. It doesn't work very well with this pattern, so I've tried something else. Tried this one, and I'm really pleased with this. There was a shawl that I released a number of years ago called the Flutterby shawl, and it had a little butterfly pattern on it. I've got a wee swatch here. I'll just show you my wee swatch. So the little butterfly at the bottom, and I tried to change it into a heart. So it was narrower, it was squished in more, and up and down pointed. So that's where this heart pattern has come from. But you knit it up the way. So if I knitted it cuff down, it would have been an upside down heart. So I had to knit, it had to be toe up. And I don't particularly like toe up socks. I prefer cuff down. I like the heel flap and the gusset, a traditional heel flap and gusset. It's just the best fit for my foot. But just pop that out of the way. These had to be toe up for the hearts to be the right way up. So I managed to figure out how to do. Can you see it's a proper... Sorry, I've still got the yarn attached. I've not cut it off yet because I'm going to have to frog this. I'll get to that. So I managed to figure out how to do a toe up sock and do the traditional heel flap and gusset that I like. So I'm really pleased with that. I sat last Monday doing this. The number of times that I had to take it out, this bit here, I'm going to show you something else because it'll explain where I got this from. Do you remember I knitted all the rainbow socks last year? I knitted 3 pairs in the old Shawl pattern, and then I did a shorty pair using my feather and fan, and then I used up the leftovers to make a kibble. Well, it was the old Shawl kibble. I was doing that over Christmas. I thought I would knit a sock. This was just using the leftovers. I don't have much leftovers left. Let me just show you the leftovers. There they are in there. So there's not much there. I think I can maybe get rid of those now. I've used as much as I can. Oh, there's one of the orange. So I used those and I knitted a sock. But I've knitted each bit of the sock, I've knitted in a different colour. So obviously you've got the cuff, you've got the leg, you've got your heel flap, you've got your heel turn at the bottom here in the dark blue, gusset decreases, the foot, and then down to the toe. And it was just handy that a rainbow has 7 colours in it and a sock has 7 parts to it. So I was actually on the heel flap last Monday, and then I did the heel turn, and that's where I was in these socks. I'd actually just got to the point where I was ready to do the heel turn. So I did that in the navy blue, and then I just reversed it and did it down here, and then I worked out how to do the heel flap, reverse the heel flap too. But it was because I was working on this, it all just clicked and everything was in different colours, and it just, so there we go. So I knitted obviously toe up and got to the heel, tried it on, and it was all fitting fine and everything was lovely, and then knitted the leg. And rather than just having the pattern up the front, I've put the pattern all round the leg. And I finished it and I did the cuff, and it's actually a Russian bind off I've done to give me a slightly stretchier cuff. I'm not sure if I'm going to, that'll be the final cast off, but because sometimes the surprisingly stretchy one, I find it's too stretchy for me. But anyway, I was really chuffed with it, cast it off, got it off the needle. I think I knitted this sock in 48 hours, just under 48 hours, and that was figuring out how to do the heel flap and all that as well. So I was pretty excited and pretty happy about it. Euphoric actually, and tried to put it on and I can't get it on. The leg's too tight. I can't get it over my heel. So I'm going to have to rethink this. I'm either going to have to increase the number of stitches in the leg, or I'm going to have to do something different on the back of the foot, even just leave it plain or put a different pattern on the back. Even maybe if I carried up the rib, carried it up the back, so it comes, the rib comes from here up to the, I'm going to have to rethink it anyway because it's too tight. I can get it on a sock blocker, but I can't get it on my foot, and that's no good, is it? But that's something that I'm going to be revisiting, and I think now I'll be able to do a lot more toe up socks as well, because I know how to do that. I'm really chuffed with that bit there. So the poor Mr. B's yarns, I've got a pair of socks. They're not matching, but both of them need frogged. But this is going to be what I work on in February, because I think the Rainbow Sock Chronicles, the colour is dark pink into red. So I'll be working on these, frogging these and redoing them now that I know, and I've still got a good chunk of yarn left over. But that's it there. Can you see love hearts on this? Because I've shown this to my husband and my daughter. My husband can, my daughter can see hearts. She gets the hearts. But my husband, he's like, no, I just see shield. There's a lot of shield I see. Or an upside down triangle. But anyway. The other thing that worries me is, see, because it's quite holy, I'm worried that when people put it on, they stick their toes through the holes. Depends how you put your socks on. I'm one of these people that, how do I put my socks on? I do that. I wrinkle my socks up, get my toe in, and then slide it up my foot. But I know some people don't. I know they just hold it by the cuff and they shove their foot in until it gets to the right place. My husband does that. Drives me nuts when he's trying on knitted socks. Anyway, there we go. I think, nope, I've got one more pair of socks. I was about to say I think that's all I've got to show you sock-wise, but it's not. Just pop these back on. But because I got to the end of this and I tried it on first and it wouldn't go on, that's why I haven't cut the yarn, because I know I've got to frog it. So I thought if I knit another sock and I need slightly more yarn, I may as well just leave it attached till I'm happy and then I cut it. But I need to work in those. But it's all good sometimes, even just, it just keeps the mind active, doesn't it? Right, I finished with those ones. I'm just going to pop these down, because I'll end up falling off my knee. Right, next up is Scoosh. I've wanted to do socks that match the Scoosh shawl. I did Helter Skelter originally, but then I thought of something easier. These are actually the easier ones in here. They're in my wee Sleeping Beauty bag. What is this called? I can't even remember what it's called, but I'll link it below. It's has a wee pin cushion in it too. This is Heather Ross. I've showed you a wee bag before that's actually made with this fabric. It's Heather Ross Far Far Away, but it was it was from the original print that was done, so it's a linen blend fabric, linen and cotton, and it's really nice. And it's got this, you got a wee bit there you can store stuff in as well. Oh, can you see that? I've just taken the little minis out. And it's got the nice wee handles and it's got wee pockets there as well. But it's nice fabric, isn't it? Anyway, what is it called, that bag? I've totally blanked. I'll put it along the screen if I remember when I'm editing, and I'll link the pattern below. I've had that for years as well, this wee bag. This was the original Scoosh socks. The wee stitch markers are just in there. Because I knit a lot of socks, I know how many rows I need on my foot, and I know how many I need on my gusset decreases, and I know how many I need on my leg. So I just put wee stitch markers in to show, right, that's normally where my leg would finish. That's where the gusset decreases would be finished. Okay, so it was just 2 tubes basically I've knitted, cuffed down, all the way down to the toe, and then just a regular toe. And I was going to put in an afterthought heel. But I thought, see if you're new to sock knitting, you can knit, but you're new to sock knitting, you might be quite daunted by the thought of cutting those stitches and picking them back up. So maybe it's not the perfect thing for somebody that's new to sock knitting. Not new to knitting, just new to socks. You can knit, but you're new to socks. And I thought maybe that's quite scary for a beginner sock knitter. And it's meant to be something that's really easy, isn't it? So the only other option then I thought was putting in a German short row heel. That's quite straightforward to do, because I wanted to do this cuff down and then there was going to be a toe up. So it didn't matter what direction you knitted them in, you just put in an afterthought heel. But I'm going to do something different now. I think I actually showed you these in my very first episode last August, didn't I? Anyway, I've scrapped that idea because I think that's too difficult if you're new to sock knitting. So I'll just pop this in my knee. So I've started another one. This is going to be Scoosh. And see, because I know now how to do the traditional heel flapping gusset look, toe up, I'll be able to do them cuff down and toe up. So depending on how you like to knit socks, if you want to try them on as you go, there's definitely benefits to doing it toe up, because if you've got a limited amount of yarn, you can get your toe done, you can get your foot done, your increases done, you can get by that heel, and then you just keep knitting until you run out. But whereas if you've got a limited amount of yarn and you're doing them down the way, you're not quite sure where you're going to run out of yarn, are you? So there is benefits to doing it toe up. So this is going to be Scoosh. 2.25mm needles again, and I'm using 2 colours of, get them up the right way, Drops Fabel. I'm going to use that as a contrasting heel, toe and cuff. That is colourway 300. And this is the Drops Fabel, it's the long print. And this is colourway 655. And they're going to be Scoosh socks. Easy peasy Scoosh socks. No pattern in them, just knit all the way round. But I'm also going to release this, when I do this one, I'm going to release it in the bigger size and the smaller size, the 56, because this is 64 stitches. So I'll release it as the 56. I will release it as a 56 stitch and a 72 stitch as well. And it'll be good for me because then that way, if I knit these socks, I'll then know how to do the heel turn, the heel flap and the heel turn on the bigger and the smaller size as well. I know other patterns do it, but you shouldn't really copy other patterns. You should work it out for yourself, shouldn't you? But I'm quite liking those colours in that. It looks really, really pink on there. But then when I'm knitting up, there was a lot of brown to start, and I thought, oh, I really like this. So you'll see more of that shortly. So I'll be looking for test knitters for this. Probably just the large size, 72 stitches, and the small at 56. Just to make sure I've worked out my maths, my sock maths right. Because if I work this out, I can then start putting it into other patterns, increase my size, decrease my size. So it's not just always a medium sock. So Scoosh is now finally going to become a pattern, rather than just I keep talking about it. And I don't know what to do with these ones here, because I bought the wee contrasting minis to put a contrasting heel in to do a video tutorial and show you how to do that. So I don't know whether to carry on and do that with these ones, or to rip them back to the leg and just have a self-coloured Scoosh sock. So, but I'll decide that later. I don't need to decide that today. I'll get these other ones knitted first and then decide what I'm doing with those, because I do like that yarn. They're both Regia. This stripy one here, just in case you're interested, you like it and you think, oh, I would like to knit socks like that. Not these ones, I mean just any sock using any pattern. So this one is the Regia design line. It's an Arnie and Carlos one, and it's colourway 03653, and that's that one. And these ones here are knit using, again, it's Regia 4-ply, and the colourway is 01121, just in case you like that colourway and you want to knit your just in case you like this colourway and you want to knit yourself a wee pair of socks. Right, let's move on. Enough of the sock knitting. I've got something really cute to show you now. Not this bit, but it leads on to something cute. This is the Icicles dishcloth. I saw Sorry Me doing this and I thought that's lovely, but dishcloths are really not something that I would use, to be honest. I've got a wee stain in this already, because I cast this on one day and I was watching Bridgerton, and then I went to get dinner on and I took it into the kitchen with me. I don't know if you'll see it. There's a tiny wee orange mark there. I think it's some tomato puree I've got on it. But anyway, that's the Icicles pattern. But I'm not using this as a dishcloth. I'm giving this to my daughter. She rehomes hedgehogs, African pygmy hedgehogs, and she will use these to clean their poop boots. Yeah, poop boots, I said that. I did say it right. What she does is she's got two African pygmies, and they both have their own vivariums and they like to run a lot, so they've got wheels. So they spend a lot of the evening, because they're nocturnal, running on their wheels, and they also poop while they're on the wheels. So their wee feet get dirty, really, really dirty. So they have to get a wee pedicure to clean their feet. So she puts these into wherever they are, and they can walk about. She puts some nice hot soapy water in for them, and they can walk about on here, and it helps clean their feet. So any time I've ever done swaps and somebody sent me a dishcloth, she always pinches them. She does ask for them, and because I don't use them as dishcloths. But when I saw these, I thought she could be doing with some more cloths. So this is going to her. The next one, the February one, this is the kitchen sink shop that's releasing these patterns, and if you sign up for our newsletter, she'll send you the pattern at the beginning of each month. Now the February one is very similar to the String of Hearts pattern, but I'm not going to do that. I found another wee heart that I'm going to do. I still will do a February one, but it's just the String of Hearts and this dishcloth. There's actually wee yarn overs, there's holes. And I thought, it's double knitting, it's quite big. Hedgehogs have only got wee feet. I don't want the wee legs falling under the holes and they get all tangled up in the holes. So I'll do something different, but I'm going to show you one of your wee hedgehogs, right? If you follow Helen Sprite966 on Instagram, you will already have seen this. Right, here he is. You see him? That's Hercules. That's one of your wee African pygmies. And the wee thing that he's walking on, he's in the sink and he's got a wee dishcloth in the bottom. So he's walking along there and he's playing with his wee rubber duckies. She actually signed up for a subscription box. Prickle Post it's called. And every month you get a box for you and your hedgehog. So that was January's, and it had the wee rubber duckies in it. So he was in there playing with his wee rubber ducks. Because he's chasing them about in the water, gets him to walk about and it cleans his feet. There you go. Did you know that? Hedgehogs end up with poop boots. You learn something new every day. Right, the last thing I've got to show you knitting wise is my Polygon blanket by Tin Can Knits. Did show you this last time. It's the wee hexagon shapes. They do look like stars, mind you. They are. So it's hexagons. And I'm using the Lay Family yarns. And this is me. Excuse me. And this is my January colourways all knitted into hexagons. What way up does it go? That way. I really loved working on this. These are so quick to knit. The pattern actually calls for double knitting weight. I'm using 4 ply, so I've just doubled it up. Just knitting with 2 strands. It's not been blocked yet, but I have at the back, I've sewn them all together and I've secured my ends. I've sewn in my ends. I'm going to block it before I cut my ends off, but they are sewn in and they're ready to be trimmed off. It's just that once you block something, sometimes when it stretches out, it just stretches out a wee bit and your wee ends start popping out. So I'll wait till after it's blocked before I cut all those ends off. But I'm loving how this is looking. But me being me, I had to overthink it to death. Because what I want to do, I want a bit like this every month. I don't want to wait to the end of the year and I'm sewing it all together. I want to be able to do it each month and get it all sewn together, get it blocked, and then move on to the next month. So I'll be able to wind up the, sorry, that's the February colourways there. And there's also the sock yarn, there was a 20, that's 10 grams and these are 20 grams. I'll use 4 of those, I'll make 4 hexagons from these. But I'll decide once I've knitted those up and I've got it laid out which colours I'm going to use from here. Because the plan is to have it going from pink and then into the darker pinks and the red, then over into the oranges, down into yellows, so it goes round in a big circle, a big square actually, and I'll have a nice rainbow themed hexagon blanket. But it was driving me nuts because I have to know what I'm doing and I have to know exactly where everything's going. So I had to draw up a plan. These bits here aren't coloured in because I've only got 6 highlighter pens. But it was to let me know what I was doing. So I felt a lot better once I'd sat and drawn that out. And then stuck it all together. And then after doing that, because there's only 10 pinks, after drawing it all out and laying it out, I thought, oh, it's not big enough, I'm going to add another 4 colours. So I've kind of gone off, draw all this out and then I go off plan anyway. But it gives me a rough idea of where I'm going and I know what I'm doing. I like to be able to visualise things and know what I'm doing. And I wanted to know that I could get this to swirl round and the colours would... So I'm getting this side here, I'll go into the pinks and then the dark reds. Sorry, it'll go into the dark pinks and the reds. And then it'll move over into orange. So I'll be able to go wind... I'll get this bit blocked and I'll go wind up my other skeins and I can get those started. But it only takes a couple of hours to knit one of these wee hexagons. It's great. Anyway, that's that. And I've showed you my over planning as well. Right, I think that's all I've got to show you knitting wise today. Yep, that's all the knitting. Let's move on to the crochet section now. I don't actually have any crocheting that I've been working on over the past 3 weeks. I haven't finished this. I just thought I would show you it again because it's quite a nice pattern. This is the Granny Ripple Blanket by Very Pink. This is a free download. Now, I was going to turn this into a notebook cover, but it doesn't quite fit right round. I wanted space for it to go inside, and I didn't do a big enough tension block. So I think I'm just going to rip it out and start again, so I can get it wrapped round inside. Rather than me trying to add a bit onto the sides here and fudge it, I'll just do it properly. I really enjoyed making this and it was just one afternoon's work. So I was sitting crocheting this that day before Christmas when my washing machine broke down. So I know I'm going to enjoy making it again. But because I've got a bigger swatch now, I'll call this my swatch. Because I've got a bigger swatch now, I'll be able to get accurate measurements and I know exactly what size to make everything. So I'm going to redo that and that'll become more apparent why I'm doing that when we move on to the next section. Now I'm ready to move on to the patchwork and quilting section. I've not done a lot of sewing over this year altogether, but I did finish this. I finished this quilt. I did show you this before. I finished this, I made this last March. When I teach my classes in Presswick, the ladies were coming along and they were doing a rainbow sampler quilt. Now I did show you that a couple of episodes ago. they knew what they were making, but while they're at class I make another one just to make sure if anybody needs to know a certain technique, I can show them that block in different sections and show them what they need to do. So this was the second sampler I made, but rather than making it a rainbow one again, I just made it in these Laura Ashley fabrics. I'm going to show you it, just in case this is your first time, I'll show you all out. All I had to do in this quilt was stitch down the Dresden. We finished classes last March, just before the whole COVID pandemic kicked in, and all I needed to do was put that Dresden on. So now that's it made now. So I did get that finished, quite chuffed with that. And it's got a nice swan background. I'm just going to show you the swans on the back. It's nice Laura Ashley swans. I actually love that backing. Had to buy that for Canada and get it shipped over just to go on that quilt. The next thing I'm going to show you in the patchwork section is my quilted notebook covers. Now I've made a few of these in the past. This is Aneela Hoey fabric. You see not a lot of Aneela Hoey when you come over here, don't you? But this is the very first fabric that I bought was from this range, and I just love it. Whenever I see it online, somebody selling it, I tend to try and buy it up because I just love it so much. This is the Walk in the Woods fabric, and this was a notebook cover that I made when I was at a patchwork and quilting class. Now this one's quite big, you can see on there, it's quite big. It's got a lot of space at the top, and it wobbles about a lot, and I find that sometimes it wobbles over there. There's nothing wrong with the book cover, I think it's just the book inside, it's too small for it, and it wobbles about quite a bit. So I made that one, and then I had some orphan blocks lying about. This is Thimble Blossoms. I made a mini quilt, and again this is Aneela Hoey fabric. The So Stitchy fabric, this is Aneela Hoey's So Stitchy fabric range, and I made this one using up, I made the mini quilt with these, and these were orphan blocks that were left over. So I made them into another book cover. This is great for a little sewing journal, and even the ribbon has got buttons on it. Oh, you can't see that. The ribbon's got buttons on it. But this is great as a wee sewing journal, this one. And then I made this one at Halloween. Now after showing you this one, the number of people that have asked me to do a tutorial on this is, or even do you have a pattern for this? This was just leftovers from my Halloween quilt, and I made a Halloween bag as well. So I made that into a little notebook cover too. So I thought I would do a tutorial and show you how to make your own little quilted notebook cover. So here we go, this one here. There's a wee pocket on the front. You can pop a pen in. And it's patchwork at the back. Now when I originally planned on doing this, it was supposed to just be stripes along the back, but I didn't have big enough bits of fabric to make it stripes, so I had to piece it together. But when I made up a wee plan for this, the bits of fabric that I would need and what size I would need to cut them. And if that's something you would find helpful, let me know, and I'll upload that onto PayHip. And you can download it for there. So if you don't even want to think about it, you can just cut the exact sizes of fabric. As long as your notebook is the same size, you'll be able to cut them, because all notebooks are slightly different in size. Okay, so I made that one. It's quite a snug fit, this one. You can see there's not much room there. It does work perfectly well. It's not like it pops open or anything, or it doesn't feel like I'm going to burst seams on it, but it is very, very snug. And then I made a second one. Now these were all pre-cut, not by me. These were cut by my friend Helen. She does come to my classes on a Thursday morning, and she came to my Cathedral Windows class a couple of years ago, and she'd cut all these out, but she'd cut too many. So at the end of the class, after she made her cushion, she gave all the leftovers to me. She gave me them a couple of weeks later because she knew I loved this fabric. It's Enchanted Forest by Lewis and Irene. So she gave me all the leftovers, and it was really nice to use up her leftovers. I also made a bag with this fabric. I actually gave that to another Helen, Sprite 966. I made a bag and gave it to her. I actually made two bags and gave them both to Helen using this fabric. So this one's made with my leftovers, and this one was made with Helen that comes to my classes leftovers. But they're both quite a snug fit. Nothing wrong with them, they just are quite tight, and maybe you want a wee bit more room in it. So I made a third one. I made this yesterday morning. Oh, my ribbon's sticking out the top. This one's just got patchwork down the spine and just grey sides, grey at the back, grey at the front, and I stitched this wee A on. I bought that in Cath Kidston about 10 years ago. I knew I would finally find something to sew onto. And this one's got 2 bits of ribbon, but it's kind of fancy a ribbon. So the tutorial is going to talk you through how to make these, and this one I made it slightly bigger. It's not as big as my red one, but it is a wee bit bigger. So I'll tell you how to adjust that in the tutorial if you want one that's not quite as snug as the other two. Now I used scraps to make these. I keep all my leftovers from making quilts in their own wee bags. Usually plastic bags because you can see through them and you can see exactly what's inside. And that's my leftovers, what's left of the Enchanted Forest range. I'm getting through them slowly but surely, and that's my Laura Ashley ones. That's the leftovers from the quilt and now the notebook cover. Now just think, I'll be able to lie on the couch, snuggle up under my quilt. I could just lie on the sofa and make all my little quilting plans and all matches, have my cat on my lap as well. Anyway, if you don't want to do patchwork, you could just maybe buy a border print, or you might have something lying about that you can already use. These border prints are ideal. And you could just cut it to size. And there's a wee bit of lining needed inside. So see this big pink bit at the top? You could use that for lining. I mean, these come in lots of different prints, these border prints. And then you've got all the white, you've got the stars at the top. But those just cut to size would make a lovely notebook cover, wouldn't they? You wouldn't even have to do any patchwork. I've already videoed the tutorial. I did that as I was making the first 2 notebook covers. But I'll tell you in the tutorial if you want to change it to the less snug, the one that's not quite as tight a fit. I'll tell you in the tutorial where to change that, what you have to edit. That will be up in the next week to 10 days. I would like to try and do some more tutorials, even sock tutorials and other knitting ones, crochet ones, some more sewing tutorials. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to cut my vlogs down to once a month. I'll do one for the end of the month. And in between that, there'll be tutorials uploaded as well. So if there's anything that you think, oh, I would like to know how she made this, or I would like to know more about that, let me know, because I'll be looking for ideas and videos to make and upload onto YouTube. So the first one I'll do is my notebook cover. It's all videoed, I just have to get it edited and then do the voiceover. And I hate listening to my own voice. Anyway, the only other thing I've got to show you is my cross stitch. Now I said I was going to try and have this finished, this wee block here. It's not finished, as you can see. It's not tight in the hoop, I've loosened it off, just in case you think, oh, she's left it in her hoop. It's slack off, you can pop it in. I wanted to get this wee block here done. That was all I wanted done in January. And as long as I got one of the letters done each month, it would be finished for September, and then I had 3 months to work in the border. But I decided to try and do the border as well. Oh, there's been so much cussing and swearing doing this, seriously. There has been times I've even thought, do you know what? I should just see if there's a cross stitcher on Instagram or in social media somewhere that would happily do this 1 square a month for me, and I could knit them a pair of socks, we could trade. But I think I'm getting there. I think I've finally got it sussed. This is 32 count linen. It's quite small, and my eyesight's not that great. But I've blown my charts up quite big. And I'm using a highlighter pen now. And I'm going through, I'm going through highlighting off so I know exactly what pieces I've worked and I don't do the same bit twice, and I'm not making as many mistakes. And I've also found that while I'm wearing my contact lenses, I've got reading glasses I can wear, which help with the vision if you're doing close-up work, but it's not any good for that. But if I put this wee magnifying, if I pop them on my reading glasses, that works great. And I can stitch away in that linen. So this has been an absolute gem, this wee thing, finding this. This was one of the rural ladies that passed this on to me. We were at a cross stitch, it was a counted thread class. And she told me, here, take that, you'll need that, take that home with you. And it really has. It's been an absolute godsend trying to do this cross stitch. So just sit like this with my, and go on with my cross stitch. And that's really, really helping. There we go. A wee tip, but you cross stitchers will all already know that. Right, I think that is all I've got to share with you today. So what you're going to do is go look at all your scrap fabrics or your orphan blocks or your border prints, and I will get this video tutorial up for you within the next week to 10 days. And I'll see you soon. Bye.